Hi, Marlon here from marlonmcpherson.com and welcome to this website critique video. So these videos is where I look at a website and see what they're doing well and some of the things that they could do to improve the website to get the most out of it in terms of improving conversions or increasing conversions and building their brand. So in this particular video, I'll be looking at the invisiblepainter.co.uk. Now, I've gathered that this is a painting and decorating company based here in London, and I'll be going through with all these critiques, three main categories. So I'll be looking at the overall appearance of the website, how things look, whether it's appropriate, whether it fits in with the type of business that it is, or the type of industry that they're in, and I'll just make sure that things look nice and consistent across the board in terms of the design aesthetics and so on. The second thing is the content. Do they have enough content, clear messaging that helps the user to make an informed decision about whether or not they want to take action in terms of the call to action, whether this is to buy a product or service or to sign up to a newsletter or do some other things such as get a quote or email you or contact you in some other way. The third and final thing is to actually look at the overall user experience. How does the site navigate? How does things, what obstacles, if any, are in the way of the user in terms of providing the best possible experience? This is important so that you don't have a high bounce rate where people come to your website, they just go to one page, they don't spend much time, they leave because of a number of things. It could be that your site is loading slow, it could be that it's just not what they expected, or it doesn't look right. So the experience from the user perspective is really important from a conversion standpoint. After I look at the things that you're doing well, what I'm going to do is look at all the points that I've made that you could improve on and just go through those one by one. So without further ado, let's just jump into this critique. Okay, so here we are on the homepage of the Invisible Painter, which you'll find at the invisiblepainter.co.uk. And straight away from what I can see, this site here is really nicely laid out. It looks professional, it looks clean. And there's nothing that jumps out at me to say that it is inappropriate for the type of business that it is. Everything's well laid out. In terms of the design consistency, all the pages do look consistent in terms of how they tie in together with the design aesthetics. Also, they do have an appropriate logo here as far as I can see as well. It's a typographic logo. And that's done quite nicely. So all in all, it's a great job. I can see here from how everything is laid out on their pages. Everything is looking great here. So the next category that I'm going to look at now is the content. Now, from a content perspective, one of the main things that you need to have on your website is straight away, as soon as someone lands on your homepage, they need to know if this is going to help them. They need to know if this is what they're looking for. And I can say that you've done a great job here on the Invisible Painter because you've straight away said what it is that you do in this headline. Painters and decorators in London, creators of inspiring commercial and residential spaces. So again, you've broken it down. You've said you do residential and commercial. And immediately I can get a quote if I need to. So that's a great call to action. It's very clear what you want someone to do. Going up to the menu bar, if I start from there now, actually, this is very well laid out and I can see all the various categories. If I need to jump into your work, I can go into that there. If I need to learn more about you, I can do that. Crucially, you do have your telephone number up here as well. So if someone just wants to speak to someone, they can pick up the phone and phone you immediately, as well as you've got your contact link there as well. One nice touch with the content is that you do have your star ratings in terms of your reviews on here, which is great. And you do have your previously worked, or well, the brands that you previously worked with, their logos are showing up here as well. So that adds some layer of trust and credibility. So that's a great thing to do to display anything that you can do to build trust. Coming down into the section here in the middle, you can see if I wanted to jump into any aspect of what you do. From these nice images here, you've got a nice carousel that I can scroll through, or I can go through and jump into any one of these images here. These images look very appropriate, very professionally done. I don't know if any of these are stock images. I suspect not. I can see that this is a parking plate here in London, because I do live in London, so I know what they look like. This is not just a generic photo. So it's great that you have documentation of your images from your previous work. And if we jump into your work here as well, we've got some case studies, and you've got them categorized here as well, which is great. So if I'm not interested in one or the other, I can filter them and jump into whichever one I want to look at. So well laid out, nice content. From a user standpoint, what I want to see is that there's enough here to really help me to make a decision as a user, whether or not you are the right people for me. And one crucial thing that you do have here is your process. So I can see straight away how you work and how you go about booking, doing the jobs that customers would like you to do. So if I'm comfortable that I'm able to work with your process, then that's fine. That's something great for you to put up front, so that a potential client or customer can see whether or not you would be a good fit for them. And it's always good to have a process, so that people know that you're not just winging things. You are actually systematically approaching your work, and this is a great look for professionalism. Coming down to the bottom of the page here, I can see that you have your address, which is great, and you've got the contact us link again, so that is also great. So these are things that I would like to see if I was a potential customer. So you've got enough information there. Well done, and it's well laid out as well. Now let's take a look at the user experience. Now, for anyone to really convert on your website, it needs to appeal to them, and everything needs to come together to actually give them what they want. So user experience is all about whether the site is navigatable. So again, you do have your menu system here, which is laid out quite nicely, and I can get to whatever I want, and it doesn't look too cluttered, even though you do have a lot of links or pages here that you would like people to go to. You do have them categorized, so it makes it easy for the user to make a decision when navigating around the site. All in all, this is a great user experience. The site doesn't load slowly. It loads at a normal speed or an acceptable speed. And again, everything from a user perspective here, as far as I can see, you have an interactive contact form here as well, which does add a nice touch to the user experience. I like this slider that you can actually select your budget range with, and this helps you as a business qualify the customers, as in whether or not they're a good fit to work with you, because you might not, you might have a minimum level of engagement that you're not able to take on certain jobs. So this tool here could be used. Let's see how far it goes down. Okay, so if someone's unsure, you still accept them sending that through, which is fine. But this could be a way to gauge whether or not, when you do get this on the other side, as to whether or not this is a viable potential customer for you. You do have a location thing here as well. I'm not sure if this is going to your correct address. It looks like it is, because this is in the right area based on the address that I can see down here. You've got a couple of different locations there. So yeah, well done. Nice user experience. I've got no complaints from my perspective as a potential user. If I was to be looking for a painter decorator or a painting and decorating company, I would definitely be inclined to contact you. So well done on that part. So this now takes me to the improvement section, where I'm going to look at some things, point out some things that you could improve upon, which would then help you to improve the website. So one thing that I've noticed is that in your header, sorry, not your header, inside your navigation bar here, in mobile view, there's an issue with the telephone number. So if you open up the menu here, as you can see, there's a second telephone number ending 999, which is showing up. And you also have some text here, which I know is to do with HTML code. This is the code in the back end of the website. So all these pages are not just put together like a Word document, as a lot of people might think. All of this is written through code. Now, for some reason, the code is showing through with this other telephone number. So I don't know if this is something that should have been showing up in mobile view. Well, I can't see the logic behind that. So it's worth getting your web designer or your web developer to go in and actually get rid of this and fix the appearance of that, because it obviously doesn't show up on your standard view when you're looking at it from a desktop perspective. It appears like this now, but also when you, if I just refresh the page here, when you actually go to it from a tablet, because I've visited this on my iPad, that same number also shows up to the side here of the number in green, but it doesn't show up with the same formatting. It doesn't show the HTML code that says class, as you have seen from the actual mobile view. It shows up as unformatted information there. So I'm going to see if I can throw an image up of that so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But that needs to be rectified, obviously. I know it's not a big deal, generally speaking, but these are the little things that could mean the difference between somebody actually having confidence in you as a business. Some people might think of it as, you know, if they can't pay attention to detail, it might not be a good fit for me, because this might translate through to the work that you actually do. They might have that perception, even though that might totally be wrong. Having consistency across your brand, your website is part of your brand. You need to make sure that everything you do on the job and how you present yourself overall is consistent, and you do pay attention to detail. So for everyone who might, you know, just pass this off as something minor, it could have repercussions in terms of conversions, because some people might look at that as, you know, a lack of attention to detail. So the other thing that I want to point out is that it's great for you to have your review showing here as a 4.6 star rating out of 5, and it says based on 15 reviews. But what I'd like to see personally is where these reviews are coming from. So it might be useful to put in the link to the reviews, or just mention where these reviews are. So if you put in a link, just make it clickable link, but opening a new window or a new tab. That way users don't navigate away from your website. So they'll open up, it would open up in another window, and they can view that either straight away, but you will still have your website open, because you want to keep them on the website. And yeah, so that would be useful to have that, and it will just add that other layer of credibility, because people might think you just made it up. Now, I'm pretty sure you didn't. So again, it's useful to point out where these reviews are. And, you know, people might want to read that as well to be able to help them with making their decision. So coming down to the bottom section of the website here, you have your address, as I've pointed out before. It would be useful to actually put the phone number here as well, maybe below the address, as it's to do with contacting you and finding you. That's another way that people would want to maybe do. I know you have it at the top already. People are lazy though. So if you're in mobile view, for example, the phone number doesn't actually show up unless you open up the menu. And, you know, if you're already down at the bottom of the page, it might be just a quick and easy thing to say, oh yeah, I'll just ring them. Here's the number down the bottom. Another thing here is that I can see that you have your email list subscription box where people can put in their email addresses and sign up to your email list. However, where's the value proposition? You know, why am I signing up to your email list? People need to have some kind of incentive to say, this is what I'm going to get if I sign up to your email list. Even if you're not giving them something like a digital download, like a free PDF or something, which is a great idea for you to do. You could just say, look, if you sign up to my email list, you'll be getting weekly updates or monthly updates with useful information that you can use to improve your interior DIY. So, you know, you could be sending coupon codes or something. Just mention what it is that they're going to get and how often potentially they're going to get an email from you with the subscription. And you can also change the text to something a bit more personalized instead of just saying subscribe to or mailing list, which sounds like exactly what MailChimp would say. You might be a MailChimp user and you've just gone with the standard text. I might be wrong actually, but this is looking like it could be, you know, what MailChimp defaults to. You can go into whichever provider you use and edit the form that you embed on your page here, if that's the case with you. The other thing that I want to point out right here is that I can see some information down here. Now, I know what this is, but a lot of people might not realize what this is. All they see is a date, and they see a headline, and they see read more. So yes, they probably would click read more because they want to get these ideas. However, it would be useful to have a headline above all of this to separate the subscription box here, to separate that from what's down here, because this is essentially your blog posts or latest blog posts. So you could have something that says that latest news, because you have it here linked, you know, up here as news. So you could just have it as latest news, and so people know exactly what they're looking at. It's not a big deal, but it's just something that could be helpful in improving the user experience, so there's no confusion. One of the other things that I realize is that on your contact page, you have some kind of doubling up going on here, because you do have the locations in this bottom bar, but you also have this in the footer, which is static. I know this is your footer because this doesn't change, but you see where you have the telephone number here, you could also have it down here, but it looks like you're just doubling up the same information here and here on this particular page, because I don't think it appears anywhere else. Maybe what you could do is try and shift this up a bit, maybe put all of this below the map, so that way it doesn't look strange having it doubled up just here. So yeah, it's just a minor thing, but it makes it a bit redundant when you're looking at this space here and you're seeing the same address here and here. One has a telephone number. It's very obvious that there's a difference without the telephone number, and so on. Yeah, but all in all, that's all I've got. This is pretty much a well done website, and apart from these minor things that I've mentioned, I mean, no one's perfect. As long as you are aware of these things and you can be on top of it, that's the main thing. So hopefully this is useful to you and to anyone else watching this video. So for those of you watching, if you'd like your website to be featured inside one of these review videos, you can request an invitation over at marlonmcpherson.com. So I'll be picking one or two of these websites at random as time permits for me to do a critique on. If you can't wait, or if you don't get picked, I do also have a paid service over on marlonmcpherson.com, or if you simply just need some one-on-one help, I do have some consulting services as well. So do check that out. That's all I've got for you inside this video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.